Welcome back, guys. It's Josie or Josile, and I'm here with another video, and today I'm actually going to be talking about an anime and a manga instead of a game like I have been the past two videos. The anime that I'm going to be talking about, I'm primarily going to be talking about the anime. I will reference the manga because I've read a little bit of it, but at the same time, it's so unbelievably long that I have not got a chance to read it all the way through. But I'm going to be mostly referencing the anime today. And the anime in question is actually Hajime no Ippo. It's one of the best boxing anime and manga in my personal opinion. A big majority of why it's the best in my opinion is because of how true it is to actual boxing. And the main reason why for that is the author Joji Morikawa was actually an amateur boxer himself. So he studied it really well, and I guess got inspired by boxing to make an anime, and it was a very fruitful anime because the manga, like I said earlier, is still going on to this day. I mean, personally, I've always been a big fan of boxing, but Ippo got me into it to actually practice it more extensively. Whenever I actually got into it and started practicing it, I have an obsessive personality, so whenever I get into something, I really get into it, and boxing was one of those things that I really got into. And the more I studied it, and the more I kept going back to Hajime no Ippo, I realized that the anime and the manga are very close to boxing itself. But of course it is exaggerated because most of manga and anime are. I mean, look at Food Wars. I mean, that's a prime example. I know Food Wars was actually written and made of way further amount of time than what Hajime no Ippo was. But my point still stands. That exaggerated anime style has prevailed all the way up until late 2000s, even today. And you know, I'm gonna make a confession now. I don't know why I'm admitting this, but I was that kid. I was probably 16 at the time, and I was that kid that watched Hajime no Ippo and would go out and go to the boxing gym because I had one in my town, and I'd be listening to music while I would train, and I would imagine myself as these anime characters like Takamura and Ippo himself, and it would actually get me very much into boxing. It wasn't a thing of just, oh, this is mundane, you know, I'm just training because I want to get stronger. I kind of grew out of that, imagining I'm a different anime character whenever I would go train, but the initial feeling was there. I initially felt like I really wanted to be these characters because I mean, in school, I wasn't really that, I never really got into fights. I never really got into much trouble. I mean, I was a class clown and stuff. I never really knew how to fight or defend myself. And so when I would watch Hajime no Ippo, it would make me feel stronger. It would make me feel like, oh, I want to be that. I want to be that type of person. Even though I knew in my head that it's not realistic to be those people, I still really wanted to try. I would look at Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Roy Jones Jr., Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard. I would look at all these people. They were big inspirations on me as well. I have nothing but Hajime no Ippo to thank for that. Joji Morikawa created an anime that inspired at least me wanting to become a fighter. Obviously, that didn't come to fruition, which I'm glad it did. I did take away from that a lot of knowledge about boxing. Funny enough, I actually met someone at the boxing gym that also watched Hajime no Ippo and got into boxing because of that. I think one of the biggest strengths that Ippo has is probably the amount of characters that it has. I mean, you have Ippo, who's the main character. He's this kind of underdog character most people can relate with. Then you get the overpowered Takamura, big ass dude that dominates damn near every person that he gets his hands on. Then you got Miyata, who is Ippo's long-term rival. He has a couple short-term rivals, mainly Sendo, who is almost exactly like Ippo, a mirror image of Ippo. They don't have the exact fighting style, but their strengths are very much alike. Going to the less strength-based characters and more lovable-based characters, I mean, you got Kimura and Oiki in particular are very funny together. I mean, they're just gag characters. Imagine the Three Stooges without the third stooge, unless you want to count Takamura as the stooge, because I mean they're all pretty crazy. There's a lot you can say about the anime and the manga, in all honesty. There's so much that you can gather from it. It's not just this crazy fighting story of just constantly fighting. There's a lot of filler, especially in the anime, but the themes that carry along with it is similar to what you would get from Dragon Ball Z and Naruto, this underdog that I wouldn't say came from nothing, because Goku, he didn't really come from nothing, but basically you watch the progression of a guy that you can relate to. He gets so strong that he's not even recognizable from his original self that you first see in the first episode. I'd love to see what they would do with the anime style nowadays. I'm personally a bigger fan of the 90s nostalgic feel. That's the main reason why I love Berserk and Yu Yu Hakusho and all of these other animes that are set back in those days. And I watched Dragon Ball Super, but I mean, it's just so modernized, and it's just, I feel like most anime nowadays has lost its flair in terms of what they look like. The one thing I can say that I took away from it is I feel like I become a little bit stronger afterwards, if not physically, mostly mentally. This was just my rambling on about the greatness of Hajime no Ippo. I really appreciate you guys listening and watching, and if you want, you can recommend me more anime, manga, games, whatever you want me to talk about, and I'm sure I will in the future probably. So yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks.